Hi everyone, my name is Nardose Fasika, and this is my capstone project. So a little bit about me. I went to UC Santa Barbara for my undergrad, and I got my BA in public policy. I'm currently a grad student at Cal State Long Beach, and I'm getting my master's of public health in community health education. So what led me to this role? I've had prior work and volunteer experience with nonprofits, and I feel like that's what led to strong interest in working alongside communities affected by racial, health, and socioeconomic disparities. My host site is Cal State Long Beach, and I currently work in the edible food recovery sector. I mainly work with the Office of Basic Needs and Office of Sustainability. I've included photos of my co-fellow, Chloe, and I tabling a sustainability event and encouraging students to join CSULB's Sustainability Fellows program. So why does this matter to me? When I think of sustainability, I think of dismantling structural and social inequities that prevent access to environmental and public health resources to underserved communities. I feel like this position is excellent in highlighting the intersections between sustainability, food insecurity, environmental justice, and public health. And I also feel like it shows students that they too can take actionable steps to mitigate the effects of climate change. So food recovery and CSULB. So a little bit of the roles that I play as an edible food recovery fellow. I mainly help with food drives and pop-up events on campus, and that could look like resource fairs or campus or career fairs. I also help promote outreach for CalFresh, Beach Bites, financial stress and wellness workshops, and other student resources. I also offer food navigation appointment services on healthy meal planning and overall food waste prevention tips. And throughout this entire school year, I've helped create educational materials with accessible and engaging language focusing on environmental and food justice. And I've included a photo of one of our peer navigators, Geo from Basic Needs. I also encountered this really interesting piece of data on food insecurity and Cal State students, and I just felt like it was really important to include into this project. I'm just going to go ahead and define food insecurity, and that is having limited or uncertain access to quality food, which is not only a financial barrier, but also an educational one. And among students experiencing food insecurity, they were more likely to report higher rates of anxiety, depression, stress, and academic difficulties. And in this photo I've included, it shows that 42% of Cal State students experience food insecurity, and 1 in 5 Cal State Long Beach students experience food insecurity. They also experience housing displacement, 1 in 10, and 12.5% of Cal State Long Beach students experience housing insecurity. I feel like this is really important to highlight that food insecurity is not an isolated issue. It goes hand in hand with so many other things, and it's really important that students are aware of that. Food initiatives at Cal State Long Beach. So one of the food initiatives that I work on here is Beach Bites, which is a free app that notifies students of free food on campus, usually leftover catering for meetings and events. So I've included photos of what the Beach Bites app looks like. It's mainly just people posting whenever there's free food left over. And to the far right, this is promo that I've created, just sharing Beach Bites to students and faculty members who may not be familiar with it. I also created something similar to Apple Music or Spotify Wrapped, called Beach Bites Wrapped, and this was mainly for students to have something, kind of engaging and colorful to look at while also learning about food insecurity and food waste on campus. I also created a report for faculty and staff to also look over and really promote and highlight to them the importance of Beach Bites and donating edible food. Um, Throughout this entire year, Beach Bites has helped diverted over 1,800 pounds of food from landfills and fed 400 plus students, which is really great. And students have also reported that receiving a meal from Beach Bites has helped in reducing stress about buying food, helped them focus on coursework, and also prevented students from skipping a meal. These are a couple of the tabling events that I've done throughout the year. The one to the left is a partnership with the Beach Pantry to promote CalFresh, Beach Bites, and other resources for students. And the one on the right is weekly pop-up events from Basic Needs that offer students free clothes and a snack. And it's been the most busiest during finals week. So the first event that I've worked on is Swipe Out Hunger during spring 2026. And Swipe Out Hunger is a nationwide initiative to recover extra meal swipes and donate them to college students facing food insecurity. Cal State Long Beach's efforts to this looks like volunteers helping collect meal swipes near dining halls the week before spring break. So for this event, I created a pre-event volunteer guide that covered the mission, role being swipe up counter and table greeter, and basic talking points. I engaged with students on basic food waste stats and shared info about CCAC's fellowship and the importance of food recovery and sustainability. I've also partnered with beach shops, um, the campus's dining halls, office sustainability, and basic needs to help raise awareness about food waste reduction strategies. And to my right, this is a flyer created by Sustain You to promote that campaign. So some of the challenges that I encountered, it was difficult to engage with students, especially during rush hours. Some of them have social anxiety, and there is genuine confusion on whether or not this is something that they had to pay for or if donations were needed, and I had to reassure them that that wasn't needed. Students were also only allowed to donate one meal swipe, and some students wanted to donate maybe more than 30 at a time, which unfortunately we're not able to collect. I also feel like there wasn't really enough promo for this event, and I've included a photo of my co-fellow and I tabling at one of these dining halls. The impact of it, over 300 meal swipes were donated by students and staff. We had 25 volunteers over the span of 3 days across three dining halls, two shifts, lunch and dinner per day. We've also had several students excited to engage with us to learn more about sustainability and how to get involved. And I've included a photo of those eager students taking a photo with our T-Rex mascot. The second event that I led is an academic panel discussion, and it's titled Cultivating Resilience, Discussion on Food Justice in a Changing Climate. And that's the flyer that I created on the bottom left. And these are the four different departments and organizations that I worked with to create this panel. So as I just said, I organized and hosted an academic panel discussion that highlights the intersections between food insecurity, climate change, and physical and cognitive health. I invited community leaders and faculty experts from Long Beach to come and talk more about this to students. I've also included a photo of me wearing a mask, asking one of our panelist speakers Dr. Elaine Bernal in the pink shirt. What are the most overlooked impacts of climate change on food insecurity and physical plus mental health? So some of the challenges I encountered, it was difficult to find people interested in being a panelist speaker. To be fair, most people had really busy schedules or they were like last minute cancellations, which is very much understood. It was also hard at first to get people to attend this panel discussion, considering that it's kind of a niche intersection. Also, the timing of this event really clashed with other Earth Month events on campus, and I've included a schedule of just one of the weeks during Earth Month. So you can see that it's been really busy. So the impact of this, we had over 27 participants and half were not environmental science majors, which I thought was really important because that meant students outside of this field were interested in learning more about a topic that they just may not have enough knowledge on. And students also expressed interest in attending more panel discussions. They were really eager with the idea of networking with faculty and community leaders and just overall exploring new topics. And I've also included photos of the foods that students were able to eat. So the last event that I did, the most challenging yet rewarding event that I worked on is this jam making workshop, which actually took place yesterday. That's why I kind of took a while to create this presentation. But this is a flyer. This is a flyer that I created for the jam making workshop and a recipe that I created for a kumquat and orange jam. I've also included a little video just to show what we did yesterday. I'm sorry if you're not able to hear. We're jamming, jamming, and I hope you like jamming too. And the rules ain't no vow. We can do it anyhow. I and I will see you through. Cause every day we pay the price. We never sacrifice. Jamming till the jam is through. We're jamming. The thing that jamming was the thing of the past. We're jamming. Yeah, so that was a little video of the jam making workshop from yesterday. So the main goal of this workshop was to highlight the cultural significance of kumquats while discussing the importance of food recovery, food recycling, and sustainability. And it was also a great moment to teach participants different ways of repurposing excess fruit. And in this case, making a kumquat and orange jam. And I've included a photo of me, my co-fellow, and our team from the Office of Sustainability. So some of the challenges we were met with, it was very difficult to get people to donate excess fruit. I think maybe 2 weeks prior to this event, we received our first donation, and that was, thankfully from faculty and staff council members at Cal State Long Beach. But it was a very difficult process to get people to donate excess fruit. Also, risk management. There are a ton of liabilities when it comes to putting volunteers in a kitchen. You have a hot stove, potential injuries, improper canning techniques, and people will get sick. Also, the original plan was to use loquats, but they were pretty much out of season, so we had to go with kumquats. And I've included a photo of me, my co-fellow, and all the volunteers after we made our jam. The impact of this. So we received 50 pounds of donated excess fruit, and from that we were able to compost 28 pounds worth of orange and lemon peels. And we donated excess fruit to the beach pantry. Also, we had students really interested and shared that they would like to attend more of these cooking events. And I've included a photo of the donated fruit that we got. Thanks again to the Cal State Long Beach's staff council members. Reflection. So, what did I learn from these events? I learned that communication, partnership, and outreach lead to a higher chance of a successful event. 100%, definitely. I also learned that people are really interested in learning about climate action and food recovery. It sometimes just comes at an inopportune time for them. So, it's kind of helpful knowing that people are still excited to learn. Um, I also hope that future fellows at this site can continue to do these events or something similar to it. I think just seeing the reactions from students, um, it was a really huge boost. It reminded me that why I wanted to do this role and work in the first place. So it's great to have those reminders. What would I change if I could do it again? I would definitely ask for help, especially early on in this fellowship. I kind of assumed, okay, well, I'm in charge of this. I'll be able to lead it on my own, organize it, get it together. And that is always a recipe for disaster. I think in any given context, you can never really do anything alone. And I would also say to maybe partner with local schools and communities more often. Thank you. That is the end of my presentation. And I just want to thank CCAC for this amazing opportunity. I am so grateful and appreciative for my time here. Thank you again.